Welcome to Variant Edition. I'm Lewis, and I'm on Cap's side.
Welcome to Variant Edition, your first weekly show about comics and comic culture. I'm Nick.
And I'm on Cap's side. Where's my shield?
That's a good question.
I want my shield.
I think we all want our shield.
Yeah, apparently budget tight and everything else. Anyway, this week's we got a great show here. I've got reviews coming up. You've got reviews.
I've got reviews coming up.
Lewis has reviews, and he has bullet points.
And Lewis also has interviews. Who did he interview?
Billy Tucci and Mark Sparacio.
Yeah, so...
I hope that's how you say his name. I think I messed it up.
I'm sure he won't mind. But look forward for those in our, the rest of our episode.
Of course, we've also got news, but first, Mike, what's going on with statues?
We got a couple different statues to look at this week, including this one.
You're going to want to stick around and listen to this one.
Can't wait to see the rest of those, Mike. Also, this episode, we've got Kevin's Behind the Counter, and now Nick with the news.
Hi, I'm Nick, and this is the news for the week of Wednesday, January 31st, 2007. In news that will warm our hearts, Mike Oeming has officially announced that his Mice Templar series will jump from his sketchbooks, where we first laid eyes on it, to comic shops everywhere in August. Plans call for a 25-issue series from Image Comics, with Oeming providing the art, co-creator Brian Glass writing, and Will Quintana and Lano Grady with colors. The epic series should ship bi-monthly and may premiere with a double-sized issue. Now, some of you may be saying, hey, don't you guys like some other mouse-related book? Well, yeah, it's kind of no secret that we here at Variant Edition are all big fans of David Peterson's Mouse Guard from Arcade Studios Press. But never fear, both were created without knowledge of each other, and Oeming and Peterson have stated online that they support each other's book. Besides, isn't more of a good thing even better? In further cool news from Image, Warren Ellis and Ben Templesmith's hit Fell will jump from the comic racks to the bookshelf in April as they release Fell Volume 1 Feral City, a collected edition of the first 8 issues of the critically acclaimed series. Image promised to keep the series in print, and as such, the first several issues of Fell have sold out and been repeatedly reprinted. The 152-page Fell Volume 1 is available in the March issue of Previews and will be available in April for $14.99. Last week we mentioned that Archie and Image were producing all new original titles for this year's Free Comic Book Day. Well, add Marvel to the list as well. Marvel will produce 2 titles, a Spider-Man comic by Dan Slott and Phil Jimenez, which should come as no surprise as Free Comic Book Day is the same day that Spider-Man 3 is released. They will also release a Marvel Adventures 3-in-1, an all-ages comic featuring Iron Man, Hulk, and Franklin Richards. 2 new comics, and DC will have 2 comics as well. It's just that those are gonna both be reprints. In keeping with their tradition, they will reprint a Johnny DC title, in this case, The Legion of Superheroes in the 31st Century, and Justice League of America issue number 0 from late last year. For a complete list of all the comics available this year, check out freecomicbookday.com. IDW has had much success of late. It is home to 30 Days of Night and is rapidly becoming the premier publisher of licensed properties with Angel, CSI, Transformers, and most recently, Star Trek. Last week, IDW released this teaser image promoting the upcoming Spike Shadow Puppets. Vampires, puppets, whose side are you on? Also releasing a teaser image was DC Comics, except in their case, much more is left to the imagination. Accompanying the image were these words, "Let the battle cry be heard in the land, a shout of great destruction." Alright, we'll definitely leave that speculation to the online forums. The over-the-top Wildstorm series, The Boys, has been cancelled as of issue number 6. Further issues and a trade collecting the first 6 issues will not ship. While DC has had no real comment on the matter, creators Derek Robertson and Garth Ennis have popped up online and let fans know that while the series may be cancelled at DC, they retain full ownership of the series, and DC is returning the publishing rights back to them so that they can continue the series at another publisher. In the first 6 issues, The Boys managed to live up to the hype that it would out-preacher Preacher. Guess that was too much for DC. That, or it could have been the hamster in issue 6. If you haven't read the series yet, we'll leave that to your imagination. In odd news, WWE wrestler Jerry the King Lawler has announced that he has been approached by DC Comics to draw Superman for an upcoming project. WWE.com will have more details soon on the project, also including such choice information as how he compares drawing the fictional Man of Steel to the fictional WWE superstars. Let's just hope those comics aren't as predictable as those wrestling matches. And finally, the Eagle Award nomination process is online. Head over to eagleawards.co.uk and vote for last year's Best in Comics. The Eagle Awards will be announced May 12th at the Bristol International Comic Expo. That's in England. Why should you vote? Well, it's important for fans to recognize good work from comic creators so that they enjoy it. Oh, and because Variant Edition is up for nomination for favorite comic-related website, so go vote! That's it for the news this week. I'll be back later in the episode with my reviews. Up next, the Swiss Stacks review the first of many statues this week.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Mike
And Jen.
here for Variant Edition's Toy and Statue Review this week. This week we're looking at, because we got a lot, this nice Bowen Hulk. Bowen
Very nice
Designs
Bowen Hulk. Huge Bowen Hulk.
Yeah, sculpted by Bowen. Very nice.
2,500.
Yeah, it's an awesome piece. The painting on it is nice. I mean, there could be a little more of it, but it's a nice airbrush.
Yeah,
There's
it's
lots
a
of
nice
different
airbrush.
greens going on.
He's a nice unbox and put right out, you know.
Yep.
No fuss, no muss.
I especially like the little things like his teeth, his eyes, the way they're inked. They're really nice looking. He's great. I might be more of a fan of the first Hulk they did than this one, just because of the pose, because I like the Kirby style a little bit more, but he's great. He's a beautiful, huge piece. He's like $200 piece, I guess. Very nice, though. You should definitely check him out. And stay tuned. We got a couple more reviews this week for you. Later.
Alright guys, first review for this week, Moon Knight issue 7, Casualties Award tie-in. Basically a setup issue for the new arc that's kicking off. You got Mark Spector rebuilding the headquarters of where he used to operate from back, when Moon Knight was in full effect. He went to his gay French friend to approach him about fixing the moon copter, which I think it's called. And he won't really do it because he doesn't want to really aid Mark in his new crusade, and he thinks he's just going to go off the deep end again, and Mark's just really trying to convince him just to help him out, just at least the bare basics, so he can get on his own 2 feet and start the whole hero thing again. It's a really good issue. Finch, what can you say about Finch, but just master of pencils. That guy doesn't even need to be inked. Really cool cameo by Spidey in the beginning, because you got Moon Knight beating up a thug in the alley, takes a little over the edge, and Peter kind of steps in and makes him stop before takes another life. Still got a little bit of mental, a lot of mental issues with Mark, because he's still kind of seeing flashbacks of Bushman, the guy he killed when he before he went to retirement, and he's talking through the voice as of Khonshu, the god of the moon. So you still got Mark kind of mentally on edge. You don't know if he's all there yet. And then at the end of the issue, you got Cap waiting for Mark in his old apartment. And it looks like he's going to ask him to join the Secret Avengers. So this is obviously taking place the first couple issues of Civil War. I know it's tough to keep track of the timing and all, but it's a really good issue. I'm really looking forward to this arc. And you got this villain in the shadows who has yet to be revealed. So I'm really looking forward to this, and it's a great read.
So it's been a while since I've done a Fear Agent review, so I'm reviewing issue 10, which was great. If you read issue 9 or saw my review of issue 9, you know that at the end of it, they ended quite openly, where it's, Heath runs into a group of Fear Agents? We thought they were all gone. So did he, but apparently they're not. And issue 10 picks up where that left off, which was great, because it's them stuck on Earth, which is just overrun with feeders, those giant tentacled things that do nothing but eat. And it's him with these Fear Agents that he ran into, who aren't really Fear Agents. They're kind of leftover people from Earth, of the remaining survivors of all the catastrophes that happened. And it's an odd combination of people. You got this one Russian guy with a shaved head with a short mohawk talking in the broken English, using da instead of the and stuff like that. Nice little touches. You got a chick with a cool skull gas mask, and they're each like a covert team. None of them are really well-rounded. They're not jacks of all trades, but they're each specialized in their own things, and it works together as their group. So they bail out on Earth because, fighting giant feeders, not really much you can do with that. Freezing it didn't work. Blasting it doesn't work. They just regenerate. So they head back to the moon, which is apparently where the remaining survivors of the human race from Earth went to. They finally colonized on the moon. Nice little moon town set up there, which is all a huge mystery to Heath, because he's been gone for so long, and he hasn't really told anybody what's happened. Just, stuff went down on Earth before he left, figured he was done with everything, had nothing left to live for, goes out into space doing these odd jobs as a fear agent. Well, when they get to the moon, he finds out that his wife is still alive, and she's married to the new head fear agent guy. And apparently she's the president. Kind of out of nowhere, but it's a nice shock. It's just, wow, this guy has been treating himself like such garbage and, damaging his body with, like, hard booze and everything because of everything that he's lost. In the end, he didn't really lose it, but he did because he separated himself from that. It's a nice little twist, and where they're going to the combination of having Heath in somewhat of a civilized human community, he doesn't really mix with civilized people because he's an angry drunk. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Heath and these new fear agents are going to be working together.
All right, this is Mouse Guard by David Peterson, A Return to Honor, and this is the very last issue of this thread of the series. What is this? Issue 6, I believe. And once again, I'm really sorry to see this end because I enjoy this story so very much. It's a story not only can you read by yourself and enjoy it, but, you can share it with kids, you could share it with older people. Anybody who picks up this book should find some kind of enjoyment from it. I also love the artwork. I'm a big fan of it. It's got this wonderful children's book style. Reminds me of a book about a mouse I used to have when I was a little kid that I enjoyed a lot. It was about a little mouse. Well, anyway, the story picks up. City's still under siege by the Army of the Black Axe. You've got the two mice and Salanwi trying to get back, trying to defend Lockhaven. You've got Liam. He's still, taken captive, still under their kind of control. He's tied up on some sticks. It's a pretty, rocky situation. Thankfully, they got some warning ahead of time, so they were able to close the city down in time, get a little bit of back protection. And there's a nice scene where they, use some bees to their advantage. They have some bees that they keep for their own purposes, raise some honey, I suppose, and they set them on the Army of the Black Axe, so that kind of helps them out. Army does wind up getting in, so their, kind of strategy is, well, all right, let's try and protect our princess, our matriarch, so to speak. Salanwi does show up at the end of the book, and they kind of not kill the head of the Army of the Black Axe. They figured it's more punishment just to banish him rather than, kill him right off. So they banish him. You see him going off into the distance where there's some, wolves awaiting his approach. So really wraps up on a nice foot. Once again, sad to see them go. But at the end of the story, you'll see that, there is another string coming up of this series, and the hardcover's coming out very soon. I believe it is in Previews Guide, so you're going to want to check that one out. I know I'm excited to check out the hardcover book, and June or July, the next thread will come out, so you should check it out.
All right, guys, bullet points for this week. We're going to kick it off with Ms. Marvel. Just kicked off a storyline. Last issue, she kind of had like this whole multiverse thing going on. There's another Ms. Marvel running around. Oh, we have yet to see where that goes. So she's trying to date this guy who owns the cafe that she tore apart in the last issue. Like to see where that goes. Also going on in the book, you got this Doomsday Machine Man being reactivated. I guess he's an old-time villain making his comeback. Looks really cool. Can't wait to see that happen. On to the next one. Supreme Power, Hyperion versus Nighthawk. I'm guessing this takes place right before Ultimate Power and right before the regular Supreme Power series, finishes and kicks off. Whatever. It's confusing. Apparently there's somebody running around as Nighthawk, killing off bad mercenaries in Africa, but at the same time killing innocent civilians. So, Mark gets sent to Africa to see what's going on. He thinks it's Nighthawk. I don't think it is. It's very too plain. It's just a setup issue, but it looks really good. The art's really great. It's going to be a fun book. Thunderbolts. Wackiness. Norman Osborn in charge of the Thunderbolts. Crazy to begin with. You have the assembly of the team. It's a setup issue. It looks really good. The art's really great. You got Bullseye, waking up. Everybody's got the nanites and all those little mind control little gadgets inside their neurons. It's really messed up. This book is going to be really good. I can't wait to see where this goes. Next book, Outsiders. Very plain setup issue again. You got the Red Hood meeting up with Nightwing. This is kicking off the arc where it explains what happened a year ago before 52 and why the Outsiders faked their own death and why certain members are missing or might be dead. So it's really good. I like the artist on the book. Really good explanation as to why certain members aren't there right now. And I can't wait to see where it goes. It's going to answer a lot of questions people have been having for the past year, especially me, because I'm missing a lot of my favorite characters out of that book. On to Spidey. Spider-Man Reign 3. Spidey's back out in the open. The Sinister Six has been reformed, not in the way you would think, but they're called the Sinner Six. and somehow they've been suspended in animation. They look young still, and they're beating the crap out of Spidey as he's breaking up this big jamboree in the middle of New York, where Jameson's trying to yell out and trying to gather all these young kids to push up against the rain and the mayor against this weird web security that he's going to unleash over the city. So as Spidey's having the crap beat out of him, he's saved by the most randomest person ever, probably the person who hates him the most out of all his villains, Doc Ock. But everything is not as it seems, because you see him take him to the gravesite where Mary Jane is buried, Uncle Ben's married, and Aunt May's buried. So that's going to be really good. Next Spidey book, swing on to the next one, you got Sensational Spider-Man. Kind of a real dull issue, just kind of focused on the side characters in Spidey's life. It was a Black Cat issue where she kind of just goes head up with Rhino and tries to figure out why he had, beat Peter into an unconscious pulp the last issue. So she talks some sense into him. Rhino goes off, bumbling, crying out to his own house. She has this weird confrontation with Mary Jane about how she kind of wants to spill the beans, how she still loves Peter, but not really. So she kind of keeps it into herself and has this whole, inner demon thing that she's got bottled up. She finally lets it go, and, you see a lot of, residue left over from their relationship, her and Spidey, from a long time ago. So that was an okay issue. But that was your bullet points for this week. Real quick reviews, really good books, and, see you next week.
New York Comic Con kicks off 2007 with a bang. Enjoy an action-packed weekend with over 250 exhibitors, more than 140 artists, an incredible lineup of guests of honor and special guests, a bigger and better gaming area, over 40 hours of anime and manga, and more than 100 special events, programs, and panels. Guests of honor include Paul Dini, Stephen King, Stan Lee, George Perez, Mark Silvestri, Jeff Smith, J. Michael Straczynski, Brian K. Vaughan, and special guest Kevin Smith. The Sci-Fi Channel presents Sci-Fi Friday Night, a night of screenings with the Dresden Files and Battlestar Galactica starting at 8 p.m. on Friday the 23rd. Only New York Comic Con fans will get to see the Sci-Fi Channel Sunday programming before anybody else. New York Comic Con will host the 2007 American Anime Awards. The awards ceremony will take place on Saturday, February 24th at the New Yorker Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. The awards showcase the very best in anime to make its way to North America, and the winners will be chosen by the anime fans themselves. For more details, go to NewYorkComicCon.com.
Hey everybody, how's it going? For this one, we got this here.
Very interesting.
This is from Code 3 Collectibles.
It is
Go ahead. What is it?
It is a 3D representation of the Amazing Fantasy number
15 cover.
And there's 1500.
Yeah. And it's really quite nice. It's done in resin. Even though on the back it has a flip-out plastic stand so you could stand it how it is. It's got ways so you could hang it on the wall. But it's not just plastic or PVC. It's nice resin. It's painted nice. Don't mind the foam there. We just took it out of the box to show it, and that foam seems pretty hard to get out without
serious damage.
Yeah, I don't want to not be able to get it back in there. So don't pretend it's not there. But it's really quite nice. It really is a lot like the cover. I don't know if you'll see it from the side shot that it's actually sculpted like it's a pile of comics. There's a good 8 comics in the
really
pile.
Nice. Really
and it is really nicely done for fans of the classic stuff and the covers. They're doing a nice job with them. So check it out.
Savage Brothers issue 3. It's been a while since I've read Savage Brothers, but finally got around to 3. Awesome. Like I said, in a lot of zombie books that are coming out, everything's kind of like humdrum. Oh, you got to be as Romero as you can and stick to this, and zombies got to do that. These are, once again, different zombies than that. They're post-apocalyptic people who've been irradiated and malformed and all that other good stuff. So they're not your typical zombies, but they're awesome. They're just moving, living corpses with glowing red eyes. So, issue 2 ended with our main characters, the Savage Brothers and this chick that they saved from this head in a jar that controls these post-apocalyptic zombies. They're stuck in this rundown place with cannibal bikers outside who are going after them, who are sent out to somebody to go after them for what they have, which is this zombie that they have a bounty on, that the person who hired the Savage Brothers wants that zombie brought back alive. For some reason, they don't know, they just care if, the check clears. So, cannibals outside trying to get in, doesn't really go well. A nice little scenario for how they escape through this. A lot of brute force, good planning, and some ingenuity with plastic explosives. Very good. So, they kind of haul ass after the cannibal encounter at this rundown place, trying to figure out why this guy wants this zombie that they're bringing to him, And you find out in this issue that the man who hired them to get the zombie is somebody called King Food. Apparently some run-of-the-mill grocery store owner who had a surplus of canned foods, and in a post-apocalyptic world, that's kind of worth more than gold. So this guy gained his power from canned food, and now he's like this multi-million-dollar mogul and pretty much has the power in post-apocalyptic Earth. So, they see on the zombie there's something on it that says, save the WOR. They're like, huh? They don't know what it means. They figure it out that it's the world, and there's something inside that zombie that's what King Food wants. It's not the zombie, it's what's in him. You find out what's in it, and there's a very well done double cross at the end of this issue, which is going to open up to issue 4, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this story is going to conclude, because from everything that's been going on, head in a jar with mutton chops controlling zombies, some guy who has world power because of canned food, and now this great double cross for what's in the zombie's belly. It's great. Issue 4, looking forward to, and you should too.
Now, I picked up something that, you might not find that you enjoy a lot. I really enjoyed it because it was just something so completely different from what I'm used to reading. This book, it's called Glacial Period. It's by Nicholas de Crecy. I hope I said it right. And it's just wonderfully done. The main character is this little guy right here on the front. I hope Kev gets a nice close-up on him. For a few pages, I couldn't figure out exactly what he is until they told you that, yes, he is a dog crossed with pig genes, just to make him a little more pleasing to humans so that he can communicate a little easier. And he's got a carbon-14 implant in his nose so he can sniff out ancient things. The whole basis behind this story is it's way in the future. Another ice age has come. There are very small pockets of human civilization, and they're sending search parties out to try and find anything they can about the civilization that has come before them. So, they're pretty much trekking over this Arctic wasteland. These dogs are helping them find their way. And this little guy here, his name is Hulk, and they named him Hulk after some, major god, poke, that was around in the past. And he's a nice guy. He's very intelligent. But he's a little flighty, and he kind of wanders off on his own and gets lost. And he sniffs out some old stuff. He can smell it. He says, ooh, there's some really cool old stuff here. He digs it up, and what does he wind up digging up? But the Louvre Museum that's been buried under ice and glacial ice and icebergs for ages. And it's just wonderful. He meets all these old ancient artifacts. Well, ancient to him right now, all these old artifacts, all these old paintings, and they kind of come to life and guide him around the museum and help him get out, help him find the group that he was with. They find each other, and all of these things and Hulk kind of escape in the spirit body of a dog. It is a really wonderful story. They've scanned some images in from actual, artworks. There's, of course, the Mona Lisa, and she's very faded, and all different kinds of artifacts. It's wonderful. It's charming. It's more like a work of literature than anything else. So if you really want something different, and if you like dogs, check this one out.
Okay. For everybody who always says I just indiscriminately love Bowen statues, this one's for you. Because this one here ain't for me. I'm a Rhino fan, but this guy here...
Yeah, he's a little woof.
I mean, I'm not even going to get into it on all the different problems I got. I'll say this. The skin texture on him, and I'm a big texture fan, looks like spackled on oatmeal somebody laid with a spoon, man. There's hardly any muscular detail. Most of the muscular detail's airbrushed in. Sculpted by the Shiflett brothers, who usually do really nice stuff. I'm sleeping behind the sculpting tool on this one a little bit. Everything. That's my biggest problem is sculpture, but painting. The horn isn't any different than the flesh. There's just, a decent base, but you want a bad Bowen review? I'm sorry, Randy, but that's it. Well, you didn't sculpt it, so God bless you. But this one here, stay away from it. Don't even look at it. You see it on a shelf, look away. You'll be horrified. Thank you. Have a good one. Come again.
So it's been a great show so far. However, remember back in November when we went to the Big Apple Con. Oh, I do remember Lewis's interview with Billy Tucci and Mark Sparacio. Here it is.
All right, guys, back again. Lewis with a great hot artist team behind Heroes for Hire. We got the great Billy Tucci, Mark Sparacio, cover artist extraordinaire. Guys, Heroes for Hire has been like one of the sleeper books of Civil War that's been doing like really well. How do you feel about that?
good. No, I'm kidding. We're thrilled. We really are. We're very excited. I know I've contributed the painted covers over Billy Tucci's pencils, but Billy's done a lot more work. So I'm sure he's very excited and looking forward to talking to you and your viewers.
I think we're all pleasantly surprised by the success of Heroes for Hire. And I think it's really cool. It's a nice way to jump into the Marvel universe. I only did issues 1, 2, and 3. I did only half of 2 and half of 3 because we had terribly tight deadlines. But I did some pages of number 4. I'm doing all the covers of number 8, and I might be doing a giant-sized Heroes Hire that I'm writing and drawing that'll be coming out in the spring, maybe for May or June or something like that. Gotta wait for the powers that be. We have meetings next week, the week after Thanksgiving. So I'm not sure what's up next for that. They seem to be happy with the numbers and all.
What's going on with She? Like, what's the latest? Anything new?
Right now, I just needed a break from it, in all honesty, kind of doing, that's the only thing I did for 12 years. But, now I miss it, though, to be honest with you. So I'm writing the new series that'll be coming out from Dark Horse in 2007. And, of course, unless I don't finish writing it. And so I'm really thinking about, maybe I'll draw it, because I wasn't planning on drawing it because of the Marvel stuff, but then again, a part of me misses that. I'm writing it now. It's called The Ring of Fire, and it's a really cool story. It's basically Anna becomes like a modern-day Yojimbo. I don't know if you remember the old not Kurosawa film. Kurosawa made Yojimbo with Toshiro Mifune, and she's almost like a wandering samurai type. Or she's trying to get back to the United States and ends up in Tibet and all. And it's a very spiritual story. It's pretty cool.
And how would you describe your style? Because you've always got varied between the painting, the bare pencils, which are beautiful, and the coloring, which you use the watercolors. Do you use colored pencils?
No, actually, I don't use any colored pencils.
No. Could you divulge into your style a little bit and where do you start and how does it finish, or it depends on who wants what?
Well, yeah, it depends on what the project is. As far as the covers go, I do watercolor painting. As far as my interior pencils, I do very rendered pencils that don't use an inker, that go right to a computer colorist. I got my start. In illustration. I studied under Will Eisner at the School of Visual Arts for 3 years. I was supposed to work for Will right out of school as his assistant, but I got my first job doing a movie poster, so I kind of went into advertising because Will said he couldn't pay me that kind of money.
Yeah, yeah.
What was your first movie poster, Mark? How many movie posters have you painted?
Actually, I've painted, I think it's 6. Yeah.
How many video covers have you painted?
Probably between 250 and 300.
And those are movies, right?
Some were cartoons, some were the old serialized TV shows, and a lot of public domain stuff. Stuff that had lapsed its copyright, or I should say the owners lapsed on their copyright. So yeah, we did a lot of stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And then Billy, on your style on She, it's very when I look at covers, when I look at posters, it's really almost like exotic looking, and it's just not in it's exotic in a way where it's almost like in a dream sequence, like the way it's colored, and the background's almost always white, so she almost blends in.
Yeah. And actually, that's part of the strategy was to do that with Mark paints a lot of my covers, almost all of them, over my pencils, and we just people seem to really like it when you just do a white background. It really makes the book stand out, and with rack space and the competition among comic book covers, how many comic book covers are out every week, how much so you really have to make it stand out, and it's kind of with the white face and the white background, kind of, I don't know, people seem to really be drawn to it. It helps with sales, and the Marvel people seem to like that too. So thank you.
So there you have it, from Billy Tucci himself, Mark Sparacio. Look out for stuff hopefully in 2007 later on. You got the She stuff. Wrapping up Heroes for Hire. Thank you so much, guys, for your time.
You're very welcome, everybody.
Great pleasure seeing you again. Thank you so much, Billy. Thank you much. And back to you guys.
Thank you, Louis. That was a great interview with Billy Tucci and Mark Sparacio. And to Billy Tucci and Mark Sparacio, thank you for taking time out and talking to us. Now, that interview actually is a lot longer than what we showed here on the show. And, of course, where can you find it? VariantEdition.com, the full unedited interview. Well, almost unedited interview. Up next, we got Kevin with Behind the Register.
All right, time for another Behind the Counter, where I take my director's hat off. put my retailer's hat back on. Except this time I'm going to kind of keep them both on. I want to use this behind the counter as an advanced review. But at the same time, to prove a point that I've noticed quite a bit in comics these days. In the United States, comics are superhero based. They are the foundation, hell, most of the building of the American comics industry. You know, everybody has a different percentage of what they make up for the comics market, but in the US, comics, superheroes, same thing. And that's all in good. I love superheroes. You know, they sell well. I enjoy them. I grew up with on them. But at the same time, you need some diversity. Another thing that I've noticed about comics is there's not a lot of good comics written for kids. The comic book publishers have realized that most people buying comics these days are adults. They have disposable income. They buy the comics. So most of the comics are geared toward them. And there aren't as many good all ages books. And if they are, they seem like they're kind of dumbed down and super safe so that no one would have any problems with them. Well, the advanced review for tonight is called Texas Strangers. It's by a friend of the show, Anthony Johnson, with Dan Evans, with art by Mario Boone. Now, this is a really cool book. It's being billed as a children's book. I guess all ages book would be more appropriate, but they're saying it's a kid's book. And it's by Image, which has no kids' books out right now. Basically, this is the Old West, but it's not the Old West that any of us will recognize. There's magic. Everything west of the Mississippi of the U.S. is controlled by the elves. And the elves are basically the equivalent of our American Indians. They get their magic from the land. It's a pretty cool fit. Mexico is like overrun by orcs. And Texas, as the title would imply, is a pretty important part of the book. It's pretty much the Texas like it looks like for us, but it's a free state. So it's, you know, pretty much anything goes. So the two main characters are Wyatt and Madara. They're a young brother and sister team who have come to Texas because they have a knife of their father's, which it's like a mystical knife, and it needs to be returned to its proper home, and that's in Texas. Set in the Old West, so of course they get into this western town, and they run into trouble right away. And it doesn't feel hokey. It's actually kind of a nice little setup for things, the way things are going to go. And there's an introduction to where the next issue is going to lead into, and I like it. I want to see where it's going. Which leads me to the next point. Each story will only be 2 issues long. So no 6-issue decompressed stories here. 2 issues. And that's new reader friendly and kid friendly. The pacing is just, it just moves right through. There's no downtime. It just moves. Which I think is to the credit of Dan Evans, whose past credits include writing for children's television. It definitely shows here. The art, fantastic. It has a little bit of the kids feel to it, you know, kind of open. It looks like an animated series kind of thing. But at the same time, it's just fun. It looks like old school comics. This comic's aimed for kids, like I keep saying. And if I were a kid, I kept thinking while I'm reading it, God, I would love this. And I don't like Westerns. Well, I'm an adult, and I still love this book. It's just a lot of fun. And I kept thinking to myself as I'm reading through it, this would probably make a really good animated series. So we got the previews code right here. So if you're looking for something not superhero, not horror based, give it a try. I think everyone might be surprised at just how much fun this book is going to be.
So that's it for the show this week, and what a great show it was. Very entertaining.
Always a good show.
It's a good way to find all your comic book knowledge into one crisp little half-hour show.
Yep.
Did you know that you can find us on iTunes? You can also get us at YouTube and Google Video and Live Video, and you can also see us on our website, of course. Our emails are the usual here. I'm Mike at VariantEdition.com.
Nick at VariantEdition.com.
We got Lewis at VariantEdition.com.
We got Kevin at VariantEdition.com.
If you want to talk to the Swiss decks, it's statues at VariantEdition.com. And of course, if you're somebody out there who's got a comic book or interested in sponsoring us, that would be info at VariantEdition.com. By the way, sponsorship information still on the website. Check it out. Send in that money.
Yes, and also to remind you guys, once again, to plug our website. On our website, we're going to put up the extended version of the interview that Lewis had with...
Are we?
Yes, with Billy Tucci and...
How very entertaining. I'll have to watch that.
Yes.
Billy Tucci and Mark Sparacio?
That's the one.
The full uncut interview?
Full, uncut, just women and children shouldn't watch it, but it's a good interview.
And you say that's on variantedition.com?
Yes.
That's enough plugging. Catch you guys next week.
Women and children
We hammed
shouldn't
it
watch
up.
your interviews, Louis.
That's fine. And action.
So that's a great That's a great show. So we're a great show.
Send money.